All right, guys, so why do you want to see more videos on the 1600? If you don't know my 1600, I bought this on Facebook here a while back, and we got her up on dollies. It's the 1968 BMW 1600-2, which means two-door. We're going to tell you a little bit about the history of this car, kind of why I bought this and why it's so rare, and the significance of this car. So let's get to it.
All right, guys. So here we have the write-up on Wikipedia on the 02 series BMWs. Now, these were designed as a small, fuel-efficient car, and the mid to late 60s was the time everybody was making, Nova 2s. They were making all these American big gas guzzlers, the Hemi Cuda stuff, and basically this was a four-cylinder car in a V8 world. And some people like that, better fuel economy, even though fuel was not expensive back then. This is back in the era of just slightly before the Vietnam War. Definitely a weird time for the United States at that time. And these cars were all imported. So either the dealer imported these to U.S. or individuals did. And what people are telling me that bought these back then, well, if you got one imported, that doesn't mean you're going to get it. It could get turned back at customs, and you waste all your money. I think they said the average cost of one of these new is $1,500 to $2,500, depends on what you wanted, just exactly. So an inexpensive car, even for that time, I guess, made it very appealing to people. I can only imagine the difficulty to get parts for it back then, but honestly, unless you crashed, you probably didn't need parts for a very long time. So you can see the 02 series was started in 1966 and ran in 1977. They had two-door coupe, two-door convertible, and three-door hatchback. Now, all this stuff had M10 four-cylinder engine, which they used all the way up until, early 80s? Used it a long time, mid-80s. And the very first one of these was the 1602, which we have. And then you have 1502-1602, and they were both 1,573 cc. The 1802 was 1,766 cc. The 2002 model is a 1,990 cc. And the transmission was available as 4, 5, and 3-speed. The 4 and 5-speed were manual. Obviously, 3-speed is automatic. I couldn't imagine how that would be back in those days. It was kind of before automatic transmissions really had a good run. I guess you had, 350 turbo back then? Or is that predating 350 turbo for Chevy stuff? I really don't know. Somebody will know in the comments, though. The 1602 was the first 02 series BMW designated as an entry-level BMW, was smaller, less expensive, less well-approached than the new class sedan on which it was based. If you click on the new class sedan, it's this bad boy here, and that was from 1962 to 1977. And, the company... It says down here, the company, financial crisis, 1950s, and established identity of BMW automobiles. So the 1602 basically was the first one after the fall of BMW, right? So BMW started off as a airplane company, and then they went to motorcycles, and that's where the Azeta came in with the motorcycle engine and so forth. And just a very neat history of these cars. And they have some pictures here. Here's a Cabriolet. Here's a convertible, a 1600. And here's a 2002 convertible. 2002 TII, which is also the first fuel-injected one of these cars. And then the 2002 Turbo. It has the wide fenders, and you see these fenders. A lot of guys put these on these older cars. And then this little thing looks something like maybe a Chevy Chevette, except a little bit funkier. And this was an 1802 Touring hatchback. Very interesting write-up on this. You guys had to go through and read all this. There's not enough time in this video to read all this. And, it's just very, very crazy. 8 to 1 compression ratio, so you can run standard octane petrol on it. So, they really had it well thought out. It really was an economy car. And maybe the U.S.'s first actual production economy car. Even though it wasn't produced here, but it was still a production car. And in 1971, they had a facelift. 02 series, you see the facelift, a 3-door hatchback, touring body style 1802 models were introduced as part of the facelift. The 2002 Ti was replaced by the 2002 Tii, one eye and two eyes. And in 73, exterior trim changes. That's where you see the different grills come in. That's why our grills look different than a lot of the cars you see. Over by his tail lights, that's when they went to the round tail lights to the rectangle tail lights, except for the touring models in the United States, which maintain round tail lights. U.S. models received the revisions for 74, and the 1502 is introduced as a base model in 1975. So a person would think that the 1502 would come out way before, but actually it wasn't. The 1602 was the very first one of this new line of cars, which is very interesting. An electric car concept back in 72, which I'm sure that was interesting. It had a couple flooded cell batteries in the trunk. I'm not really sure what you would have back then. That was before anything else was available. And here's a breakup of the models. It's 02 series, 66 to 76, which is, 1502, 1602, 1802, and 2002. The 2002 Turbo came along in 73 and 74. There's only 1,600 of those made, 1,672. 137,000 of all the 02 series altogether, which isn't very many. Then the Bauer Cabriolet, the convertible, 4,210. And, like I was saying before in previous videos, these cars were not galvanized metal. This is regular steel, so they rotted out severely bad. The reason why mine is not rotted out, it's been indoors its entire life, has surface rust in the hood. It's a very interesting car. It really is a survivor. That's why we have to be careful restoring this thing on what the correct direction to go on it is without hurting the value of it. So we had the 3 series, the 02 series, obviously the first three series. The E21 was the next, which was obviously the pre-E30. And then we only had the E30. And then we had the 5 series, the new class sedans. And that ran up into 1975. So I guess this is pre-Bavaria. It's very confusing here, but I think the E12 was the Bavaria. I'm almost certain it is. And then E28 after that, of course, then E34, and then obviously E39, and E60, and so forth. F10, whatever have you. CS, 3200 CS, and it's a touring car to 62 and 65. So that's definitely an oldie German Austin Powers type situation there, no doubt. 2000 C and 2000 CS. The next one's, I've already clicked on that. I don't know if it's going to take me here. And you can see this has some other crazy front ends, but you can't see the resemblance here. The headlights are definitely some early 80s looking headlights, even though it was predating that. And then I think it's kind of chalky in it. Interesting how the pillar rolls down too with the windows. But you can tell there's some cool vents in here. You can tell by the tire size, just a very old German car look to it, no doubt. And here's the 2000 CS when it's been redone. I'm not sure I'm a big believer on those headlights. They're kind of funky looking, but I definitely would not turn one of those down if it fell on my lap. There's no question about that. And here's the new class coupe, and kind of the pre 6 series, as I guess, if you will.
So yeah, a very interesting history, and a lot of you guys question, why'd you buy this old ugly car? And my answer was, if you're asking that question, you just don't understand about the car. And if you go do research on it, it was definitely a true barn find, and it'll take little restoration to get this thing up to par, and that's great. So we're going to start on this as soon as the lift gets here, which should be about 3 more days. We're at least going to get this thing up in the air. We're going to look all under it, get everything documented on it, and check out 100% of every nook and cranny of this car with the rust. And then the whole theory of this is to remove all the trim, which there's a pile of it, and set everything out on a table. And we're going to, I'll tell a lie, we might actually polish that before we remove it so it's easier. We're going to take basically a DA sander and take the hood, the trunk, or the boot, as you say, the fenders and the doors off. Put all those on sawhorses. So we could properly sand those with the DA, de-rust everything. And I have to do some research on this old paint. We may not be able to spray over that very easy. We might take everything down to metal, and we'll have to get the appropriate primer to put on it. And then we'd paint it back exactly the same color, because there's too much under this car, under the hood, that we'd have to paint and all that. But before we strip the body down, we have to make a decision on this engine. This engine probably needs to come out and be regasketed, totally cleaned up. While we have that out, then we could also then do the engine bay, disket. We could still buy like all these tanks, all that stuff, get that 100% done under the hood. So whenever we paint it, we don't have to be hanging over the car, scratching stuff up, and all that kind of stuff. Now, like I told you guys before, if you haven't seen my previous videos, I have found all the original seat covering material where you take all this off and you put, I'm guessing it's hog ranged on, I really don't know. Found all that. I found the OEM carpets, all the basically inside trim pieces are still available. We still got the original mirrors. A lot of people's missing those. All the handles are in good shape and functioning good. And pretty sure this is like the worst spot in the whole car, and it's nowhere close. This camera probably won't focus, to being rusted through it all. All the gaskets have to come out of the windows. Everything has to be checked around those gaskets. And try to buy I think I could buy the whole window gasket set for the back and front windshield and the sides. I think it's about $350. But I tell you what, if you ever restored an old car, $350 is not bad, and you get the whole kit. And that way, you know. I can still buy all the corner marker lights, even though those are good shape. Maybe we'll put a fresh set on, save all these original pieces that we don't reuse, and keep them with the car. Probably the best idea. It should be very interesting coming up, guys. The old M5, we finally got everything in today to clone the ECU. We'll have that going pretty soon. The 90, if you're not new to this channel, we'll work on that again. E39s, whatever have you. That's gonna be it, guys. Video's going long enough. There's a little bit of history. We'll talk to you very soon. See you later.